Hello, this is our role-play group video for Child Development 39. This is our PowerPoint on Sabina Spielrein. My name is Violet Molinaro.
My name is Maiku.
My name is Marissa.
And my name is Samantha.
Sabina was born in Rostov-on-Don, Russia on November 7, 1885. She passed away on August 12, 1942. She was born in a wealthy Jewish family. Her father was a businessman and her mother is a dentist. Her household was strict and at times even abusive. She grew up speaking 4 languages: Russian, German, French, and English. At age 19, she suffered from a symptom called hysteria. She became a patient to Carl Jung, and she stayed at the hospital for a whole year. She was the cause as to why Carl Jung reached out to Sigmund Freud about what happened to her. In 1911, she graduated from medical school. She began her own psychoanalysis practice. She had a relationship with Jung, but ended due to their career. She then moved to Vienna, Austria in 1911 and joined the Vienna Psychoanalytic Association. She then met her husband, a Russian physician named Pavel, in 1912. She had 2 daughters with him, one in 1912 and one in 1924. However, her husband left her and remarried another woman. She then moved back to Russia and started introducing psychoanalysis there. She became a Russian doctor and one of the first female.
From an early age, Sabina always aspired to be something greater. She talked on how she was called to a greater greatness in life, but from a very beginning, she struggled with mental health most of her life and excelled academically. In school, she learned multiple languages fluently, and she excelled in science and music. Sabina wanted to be a medical doctor, so she decided to study abroad. When away for her education, her sister suddenly died to a disease, which led Sabina to a hysteria. Sabina was sent to a sanitarium for therapy, where there she met Carl Jung as her therapist. Jung then stopped communication between Sabina and her father, which led to a speedy recovery. Sabina began working for Jung as his research assistant, but fell in love with him. She attended the University of Zurich in June 1905. She then became interested in the psychoanalytic field. She also became a psychiatrist and studied alongside Freud. Her dissertation was supervised by Jung and Eugene Bleuler. Her dissertation was about a case study of a patient with schizophrenia, focusing on the language used by the individual. This is important because it was the first doctoral level study to be published in a psychoanalytic journal, and it was one of the very first psychoanalytic case studies on schizophrenia itself.
What is her theory? Psychoanalysis, a system of psychological theory and therapy which aims to target mental disorders by investigating the interaction of conscious and unconscious elements in the mind and bringing repressed fears and conflicts into the conscious mind by techniques such as dream interpretation and free association. She also introduced the idea to Russia, the idea of death drive. She originally proposed it in a paper named Destruction as the Cause of Coming into Being in 1912, but Freud later adapted her theory as his own.
Contribution. Sabina was the first person to propose the thesis statement about instinctual life. This thesis was later adopted by Freud. Since she worked closely with Jung, she also had 2 major contributions for the development of the psychoanalysis theory. Sabina was also the first person to introduce the idea of death and life instincts. One of the instincts that has an immense amount of influence on certain behaviors today. Spielrein also influenced other thinkers of the time, including Jean Piaget and Melanie Klein. Some of Spielrein's most remarkable work was her dissertation on schizophrenia and her most second influential work was The Destruction of as the Cause of Coming into Being. She was also a huge influence as she was a successful woman in a male-dominated field. Being that Sabina Spielrein was Jewish, she was extremely brave for committing to her work in such a tragic time of racial discrimination. Even now, more and more of her contributions are being discovered, translated, and studied.